I just went on a huge spiel about Jen Williams, and it was warranted. She's amazing. Hey friends and book lovers, welcome. Today I'm doing my September TBR pile, which is my stack of books that I'm planning on reading in the month of September. Usually I would have a really ambitious TBR, but this time it's only 5 books, which is still a little ambitious in some groups. But for me, that's not super ambitious because I like to read more than 5 in a month. Lately though, I haven't been able to, which is why I stuck to a smaller number of books. So we'll see what gets read in this month, but I wanted to leave some room for mood reading. There's been a bunch of books that I've put in past TBRs that I don't want to continue putting because I want to get to them as kind of a mood read because I want to read them, but there's so many obligations when it comes to reading that I have to do, like buddy reads or read-alongs and things like that, you know, I myself plan, so I take full responsibility for the obligations for reading that I have to do, but I want to allow some room for mood reading. So some of these books here are, I think most of them are buddy reads or read-alongs that I'm putting, and then the rest of them I'm gonna mood read to whatever I feel like in between these books or after I read all of these books, and we'll just see where we land. So the first one is one that you all know. I'm doing a read-along for this for the months of August, September, and October, and in September we are doing the second half of Count of Monte Cristo. It's still August, so I haven't gotten the first half of it read yet, but I will be reading the first and second third of this come September. I want to finish off the first third in the next little while so that I can just focus on the second third in September because I think that's when the book gets a little slower. We're reading this on my Atlantis Discord group because that's probably the best place we all found to host it on. It's more of a fantasy romance, fantasy type of Discord, but we're adding this classic to it. So if you want to join us, you know, there's still time. You could read the first 2/3 of it in September if you're feeling ambitious. It's about 600 pages for mine, but I think if you have another version, it's either less pages, so up to you, but feel free to join us. I'll put the link on the Atlantis Discord below, and if you guys want to join us for this read along, you definitely should. The second book I want to read is The Traitor Queen by Danielle L. Jensen. This was supposed to be the buddy read on the Atlantis Discord for the month of August, but I'm pretty sure no one read it. And so Kristen and I decided to just make it the September read as well, since we didn't get a chance to read it either. And no one seems to object to that. I think for October we're gonna have another set of polls for the books we want to read in October, and I already have a few of those books in mind. But for September, we're gonna take it easy and let ourselves just read that buddy read, and that's gonna be The Traitor Queen, which is the second in the duology of the Bridge Kingdom. So I read the first one of that in July, and it was a really fun fantasy romance, high stakes type of read. It ended on kind of a bad note, but it also ends with like a lot of motivation for the main character, and I am really excited to see where that goes, and it kind of gave me inspiration to continue going with the series, because at first I was like, dang it, it's that trope that I hate, and why are we always felled by that trope? I freaking hate that. But then we're getting the motivation to continue and to clarify things, so I'm hoping that Traitor Queen we'll have a chance to do that. I'm also hoping that we get some other steamy scenes in Traitor Queen, but we'll see. So far I've heard really, really great things for the duology, so I'm thinking that the second one's gonna be just as good, if not better than the first one. Generally, I like the second and thirds in a series more than the first in a series, so I have high hopes that I'm gonna love this one, and I can't wait to get to it. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. So it's gonna be one of those reads that I kind of put in between the other books that I'm reading, because I think the other few books that I have are kind of on the heavier side when it comes to fantasy. And so of course this is a book that I've had on my TBR for so long, but Andrew and I have finally decided that we're gonna read it next, and I figured, you know what, I'm gonna put it on September's TBR, because even if I start it on the last day of August, it's still gonna be part of September, because that's just how things are gonna go. And that's The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. I think Andrew and I have only read the first one. He's read the first one twice, I think, or maybe he's read the whole series. I can't remember if he's read the whole series before or if he's only read the first one a couple times. I've only read the first one, and I read the first one a few months ago. It's part of my favorites so far video, so if you haven't seen that one, I'll link it down below. You can check out my top 5 plus a bonus favorites of the year so far, and the first one of this trilogy is on there, so I'm hopeful that I'm gonna give the whole series 5 stars, because this one features a favorite character of mine. I think I'm going to really enjoy it, so I'm predicting that it's gonna be a really good read, and it's something that I'm really gonna enjoy. I'm excited to get into this with Andrew. I'm excited to buddy read this because I think it's gonna be fun to buddy read this and just like be on Voxer with Andrew, like talking about it, and I don't know. I think it's gonna be really fun. So looking forward to that. And I'll link Andrew's channel down below if you guys haven't checked him out. He's an author and a reader, so he does AuthorTube and BookTube on his channel. And I think he's a really fun time. He does a lot of cool discussion videos about different types of things in books, like world building and characters and things like that. So you should definitely check him out. This next one is also a buddy read, but I'm so excited. I get to read it with a fabulous human being, one of my favorite booktubers and really close friends here on BookTube. I talk to her all the time. She's fantastic. I love her, and I love that we're reading this trilogy together because it's so good. And we will be releasing kind of a recorded video on the second one in the trilogy soon, and then we're going to be doing like a live show for all 3 books, the entire trilogy, with another guest, which we're very excited about. And the last one and the final book in this trilogy is The Poison Song by Jen Williams. This is the Winnowing Flame trilogy. Elle has talked about this so much on her channel. She is one of the biggest booktubers I think ever, and she has awesome taste in books. I really like her recommendations so far, and this one has been no exception. It's definitely a hidden gem. I've reviewed the first one. I'm reading the second one. It's really good. It's so interesting. It's so well woven. It's almost like it's real. Like, it's just so detailed, and all these interesting things come up, and I'm like, wow, this could be a real world. And that's the kind of epic fantasy that I really appreciate, something that feels like it could be real. And this is that book. There's also some sci-fi elements in here, which is really cool because I haven't really read a fantasy book, an epic fantasy book at that featured sci-fi elements in it, and this one definitely has some strong ones. So I'm really loving it. It also has dragons in it, and griffins and flying cats and witches and big giant flying bats, and it's just so cool. Like, it's so cool. And I love the covers. They're so simple, but once you know the story and the characters, you know like why this is the cover that it is, or why the title is the way it is. Like, it makes sense. It's not just some random cover to look cool. It's really awesome. So I'm really excited. I've really enjoyed this series so far, and I really want to read her Copper Cat series. I think is the only other series that she's ever released, and I'm really hoping that she's working on something else because her writing is really cool, at least in this trilogy. But I would love to read her other trilogy to see if I would still really agree with the rest of her works as well. I just went on a huge spiel about Jen Williams, and it was warranted. She's amazing. But without further ado, let's get to the last book of this TBR for September. And this one is actually the September pick for the shelf published in Discord, which I haven't been participating in as much as I've been wanting to. They've been picking some really good books that are on my TBR, but I can never freaking join them. And this month I was like, you know what is the pick for this month? If it's a book that it's on my TBR that I've been wanting to read, it's gonna be read. And I've just ordered it. It should be coming in tomorrow, but I really wanted to do this video today, so I don't have a copy of it, but I will post it here on the screen so you guys can take a look at it. It is a very popular one. It's called Atlas 6. Let me just get the author because I can't remember the author. Yes, the author is Olivia Blake. This is one of those books that has a secret society, like magical secret society vibe to it, which is totally up my alley. And it's almost been like a niche book. It's gotten popular by word of mouth. I've seen it a lot on Twitter. I've seen it a lot on booktubers channels because of Twitter, like book Twitter, and now it's coming on a shelf published in Discord, and I'm just like, yeah, what better way to do this than a buddy read? So this one isn't totally obligatory, but it is still a buddy read, so I'm adding it to this because I just ordered it. I really want to get to it. I think it's gonna be a great like fall read, especially when September gets kind of cold, you know? It's gonna be like, oh, such a cozy, like scary, atmospheric read. At least I'm expecting it to be atmospheric by the way the synopsis is going. So this is basically, like I said, a secret society where we have 6 initiates who have a year to prove themselves to be initiated into this secret society. I think, what is it called? The Alexandrian Society, and they get picked by Atlas Blakely, which is why it's called the Atlas 6. Oh, I love the titles that make sense. Don't you just love titles that make sense? I love them. Oh my gosh. So these 6 initiates, I guess, all have very unique powers, and they need to prove their worth, their ability to manipulate their wonderful gifts, and who brings the most value is going to be the one that gets selected. So it's kind of like this competitive, magical, secret society. Like, oh, it's got so many elements that I love, and I can't wait to get to it. I really hope it's as good as everyone on BookTube and on Book Twitter and Book Talk and Bookstagram have said it's gonna be. I feel like if this is good, this is probably gonna be a really great book for October, because fall, secret societies, living on the East Coast, I love that kind of shit. I'm so excited for this one. I'm so glad that I've added it to my September TBR. And so in the next books that you're gonna see in my September wrap up, they're gonna be totally mood reads. So if you see anything extra, it's because it's a mood read and I didn't add it to this because I didn't want to add it in case I don't get to it. But these are the 5 that I am definitely needing to get to, and you should definitely see them on my wrap up. So fingers crossed that I actually do what I say I'm gonna do, because that is not the case every month. But regardless, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you're reading any of these books at the same time as me, let me know. I'd love to discuss them with you. And if you've already read these books, let me know what you thought of them. You can also let me know what you're reading in September, and if any of those books sound atmospheric and spooky, I'll definitely read some of those in October, hopefully, if I can get to them. I do have a lot of arcs to get to, so we'll see. If you like this video, please click that like button. That really does help me out a lot. And if you like my content and you want to see more from me, don't hesitate to subscribe.